The 144,000 sealed John was still trembling from the visions he had already seen. He had watched the seals being broken and the earth shake with judgment. The skies had turned dark, and the people of the world cried out for the mountains to fall upon them. Kings and servants alike hid in caves, begging to be spared from the wrath of the Lamb. In the middle of this fear, the angel of the Lord appeared before John. He came from the east, holding the seal of the living God, radiant and unshaken by the chaos around. The angel lifted his voice and called to the four angels standing at the four corners of the earth. These angels held back the winds that could destroy land and sea, waiting for the command. "Do not harm the earth or the sea or the trees," the angel declared, "not until we have sealed the servants of our God upon their foreheads." John's heart beat faster as he saw the chosen ones being marked. They were men and women who belonged fully to God, set apart in the middle of the storm. The number began to form clearly in John's spirit. From the tribes of Israel, 144,000 were sealed with the name of God upon their foreheads. 12,000 came from Judah, the tribe of the lion's courage. 12,000 came from Reuben, the tribe of the firstborn's strength. Another 12,000 came from Gad, known for battle and boldness. And 12,000 from Asher, remembered for blessings and abundance. From Naphtali, 12,000 were sealed, a tribe blessed with words of beauty. From Manasseh, 12,000 stood, carrying the inheritance of Joseph's line. Simeon contributed 12,000, once scattered, but now gathered under grace. Levi, the priestly tribe, also brought 12,000 wholly in service to the Lord. From Issachar, 12,000 stood, known for wisdom and understanding of times. From Zebulun, 12,000 came, people of the sea and trade. Joseph gave 12,000, blessed with fruitfulness and plenty. And Benjamin, the smallest tribe, still offered 12,000, fierce like a wolf. Together they stood 144,000 strong. Not one was missing, and each bore the seal of God shining on their foreheads. John marveled at the sight. The storms of judgment that shook the earth could not touch them. The fire did not burn them, and the winds could not harm them. They were safe because the name of God was written on them like a crown. John thought of the people of Israel wandering long ago through deserts and battles. He thought of their struggles, their victories, and their failures. Now he saw a new Israel, sealed and preserved by the mercy of God. Their number was fixed, their safety assured, and their destiny certain. Yet as John looked beyond the sealed ones, another vision opened. He saw a vast multitude that no one could count. They came from every nation, tribe, people, and language. They stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed in white robes and holding palm branches. They cried out with loud voices that shook the heavens, "Salvation belongs to our God who sits on the throne and to the Lamb." Around them, angels fell on their faces before the throne. The elders and the living creatures joined in worship, saying, "Amen. Praise and glory and wisdom and thanks and honor and power and strength be to our God forever and ever." John's eyes were filled with tears as he beheld the worship. This was a gathering beyond what words could fully describe. One of the elders turned to John and asked, "These in white robes, who are they and where did they come from?" John bowed his head and said, "Sir, you know." The elder smiled gently and answered, "These are the ones who have come out of the great tribulation. They have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. John's heart swelled with hope. The multitude had suffered, yet they were now radiant in victory. The elder continued, "Therefore they are before the throne of God, and serve him day and night in his temple. He who sits on the throne will spread his shelter over them. They shall never again hunger or thirst. The sun shall not strike them, nor any scorching heat. For the Lamb at the center of the throne will be their shepherd. He will lead them to springs of living water, and God will wipe away every tear from their eyes." John's spirit trembled at this vision of mercy. The sealed 144,000 were a sign of God's covenant faithfulness to Israel, but the multitude was a sign of his mercy to the whole world. No tribe or nation was left out from the invitation of the Lamb. The sound of their worship echoed like thunder over many waters. It was as if the entire creation joined them in singing. Even the stars seemed to shine brighter in their praise. The heavens themselves appeared to bow low to the song of the redeemed. John knew that the 144,000 were safe from judgment, a testimony that God never forgets his promises. And he knew that the multitude proved the power of the Lamb's blood, which washes all who believe. The earth was still shaking with storms, yet in heaven there was peace. The world below was filled with fear, but above, worship rose like a river of light. John's weary soul found comfort in this vision. Even in the darkest of times, God had his people sealed and secure. He whispered to himself, "The Lamb will not lose even one that belongs to him." He remembered the words of Jesus, "My sheep hear my voice, and no one shall snatch them out of my hand." The seal was more than a mark, it was a promise. It was the eternal assurance that nothing could separate them from the love of God. John looked once more at the 144,000. They stood tall like soldiers of light, shining even in the shadows of judgment. He then turned to behold the great multitude again. Their white robes glowed brighter than the stars, waving palm branches in endless joy. The vision burned itself into his heart. He knew he must write it down so that all who suffer may find hope. And so, with trembling hands, he prepared to tell the churches. He would tell them of the seal, the safety, and the victory of the Lamb. For though the world would shake and judgments would fall, the sealed ones were secure. And though tribulation would rage, the multitude would come out victorious in the blood of the Lamb. John closed his eyes and let the sound of their song fill his spirit. It was the song of salvation, the song of the redeemed. And even as thunder rolled across the earth, John's heart rested. For he knew that God's people were sealed, and the Lamb was forever their shepherd.